With YouTube attacking alternative media, please consider supporting the channel via Patreon for just $1 per month. Link below. I'm going to take a puff of my vape while I put on a metaphorical tinfoil hat, because this is something that I kind of want to get off my chest. I'm going to do it here. I want you guys to pay attention, tell me if I'm right, if I have it, if it's onto something, or if I'm completely freaking wrong. So, 2016 presidential election, right? We learned a lot after the victory of Donald J. Trump, and a lot of it had to do with the fact of Russian interference. Now, whether or not you believe that that Russia played a part in the election itself, I believe is irrelevant to the overall statement of Russia definitely having an impact on social media. The fact that they were manipulating Twitter, and the fact that they were manipulating Facebook, and they were doing it through a multitude of different avenues. It wasn't just a conservative side. You know, you're finding out like they were running like pro Black Lives Matter groups, that they were trying to organize meetups for Black Lives Matter. You also find out that they were targeting specific districts, like specific cities, specific areas, like geo-targeting like crazy in order to run ads on people's Facebook, you know, kind of putting out the memes and the misinformation and disinformation that they very much wanted to convey. And I've been thinking a lot about that over the course of the past year, because I watch a lot of news, both you know, conservative as well as liberal. I watch a lot of MSNBC. I like Rachel Maddow. Think of that what you will. But I also like Tucker Carlson. So I really like Shep Smith, even though he's like the only like kind of liberal on Fox that they just keep around in order to basically make it appear like they're fair and balanced. By the way, they no longer have that subtitle. They lost it, because I don't think they can actually claim that. But anyway, I follow news from multiple sources, and you know, looking at the fact that 17 intelligence agencies said that there was interference from Russia, and a lot of it had to do with social media. Now, as a person who used to teach social media in Los Angeles, I was teaching it to actors and filmmakers and people in the entertainment industry. I understand a thing or two about how stuff is done, at least through an automated level. So I get how they were able to do stuff with these troll farms, and how they were able to put out these memes and target things, so on and so forth. Like, I mean, they probably figured out right around the time of day Donald Trump was going to tweet, right? You know, he wakes up and he heads over to the commode to crap out his Egg McMuffin from the day before, and he tweets while he's on the toilet, obviously, right? Or he's going back to bed or whatever. Again, no issue with that. Elderly men get up to pee in the middle of the night. It just makes sense. Just saying. So they figured out when, and they would put stuff out there when he would tweet stuff, and then that would draw a lot of attention. In fact, if you go on Twitter right now and you look at any Donald Trump tweets, you will see a very interesting thing. There are people, both conservative and liberal, that have notifications on for when he tweets, and they are active with a response. They are active with something. They fire back within seconds. It's very interesting how they do it. And I don't know if these people are real or if they're trolls. I know you can head over to dashboard.securingdemocracy.org, and you can go on there and you can look to see which hashtags are currently being pushed and trended out of Russian troll farms. Like, these are known Russian accounts. So we know that there is clearly things that are happening here. Okay, so here's essentially what I'm getting to, my tinfoil hat theory. If social media in terms of Twitter and Facebook were manipulated, could it also possibly be that YouTube was hit as well? Right? Now, I say this as a person who does this as a full-time job. I say this as a person who spends 90% of my time on YouTube and reads up on the algorithms and reads up on things and reads up on all this other kind of stuff with it. And I keep going back to this thought. And I haven't vocalized it yet, but I'm vocalizing it now because I'm just kind of want to put it out there. Now, again, I'm not suggesting or accusing or saying this is what happened, but if there was going to be a social media attack from Russia on YouTube, it would be so fucking easy. Like, way easier and way cheaper than anything else they could have done on Facebook, right? Like anything else, I'm serious. So the way that the algorithm works is essentially that what you have to do to get a video to go up in the rankings is deal a lot with the algorithm and engagement, comments, thumbs up, thumbs down even, right? And you can automate a lot of that. You go to was it blackhatforum.com or something, and you can find tons of automated systems. For a while there was a whole bunch of stuff that dealt with like kind of like a sub for sub thing, but not even sub for sub. What you would do is you could go to this website, and I forget what it was called, but you get like seeds, basically points, and you acquire those points by following other accounts, and people would set how many seeds they want to give in order to get you to follow. And so what you do at that point is you go in there and you spend time and you build up these points. You create fake dummy accounts and follow other people's accounts. You artificially inflate these numbers. And then you can even do it for views and for likes and things like that on YouTube. You can automate this whole process. And so if you've got the manpower, you can, in fact, very much manipulate YouTube in order to push these things a little bit higher in the algorithm. At least you could back then. I do feel that the change that we're on right now in terms of the 4,000 hours watched over the span of a year and 1,000 subscribers is very much a way to combat something like this from happening, because you've heard a lot of people speculate as to why, right? They'll say, oh, well, this keeps those accounts that would go and pay someone to get 10,000 views to automate moderation. You would go and you would see, like that might be a reason. Well, I think also it's to keep a lot of these channels from trying to make money from pushing a lot of fake information. We're going to talk about a video tonight, or story tonight, that has quite a bit about YouTube dealing with this kind of propaganda pushback, which is what got me to think about this particular scenario. If you have YouTube at this point starting to monitor state-sponsored media and acknowledge that stuff is state-sponsored media on YouTube to showcase transparency with the user, is there a more, I guess you could say, nefarious reason as to why it's happening? And I would not be surprised at this point. And I just want, again, before I go forward, I'm saying I do not think this is true. I have no proof. This is just a random thought that I have that I'm espousing to you guys. But is it possible that we'll find out in the next year that YouTube, Google, was fully aware of this particular situation, that they were fully aware that this kind of manipulation was happening and they haven't been called out on it yet? And I don't know. I don't know if it is, but I've noticed there were a lot of conservative channels that before the presidential election in 2016 were doing okay. And then after the presidential election or leading up to it, they all of a sudden started to very much increase. I myself shot up a lot. And I was never pro-Trump. I was anti-Hillary, but I was never pro-Trump. And I shot up a lot of subscribers. And then as soon as I started criticizing Trump, I started losing a lot. So I don't know if that has any correlation. Well, I'm sure it does. But I noticed there was a big push in 2017 for some conservative channels to break the 1 million subscriber mark. Not to say that they haven't worked hard enough to get it. I'm not trying to discredit their work at all. But I keep wondering in the back of my head, has there been some kind of manipulation? Because YouTube as a whole is ultimately not very hard to manipulate if you know what you're doing and you have the manpower. In the meantime, I got nothing else to go on, but it's just a thought, just food for thought for what could be something that no one's thought of yet. Because they talk about Twitter, they talk about Facebook. YouTube is the second most visited website on the internet compared to Google, which is the number one. YouTube acts as a social media platform, Google Plus, for example. What's to say it wasn't hit? I mean, really. May not have as many users as Facebook, right? In terms of profiles, where I think there's now close to 2 billion profiles on Facebook. But YouTube still pulls in an insane amount of people. So if it's a lot of people and it's not hard to manipulate if you know what you're doing and you have the manpower, which these troll farms would, anything is possible.